You'd have thought I'd know which buttons to press by now, wouldn't you?
You'd like to think you know what studio to be in on the right time. I mean,
well, there is that.
You know what I mean? Got me with me cherry ass out.
Oh dear. Guys, please don't forget to like, comment on and share the stream. Subscribe to our YouTube channel if you haven't done so already, and make sure you hit the bell icon for alerts on new content. And as always, guys, we thank you very much indeed for your support in this matter. Talking of support, Duke, would you like to give this this very worthwhile cause a little bit of a shout out?
Donate.
Okay.
Donate to the wonderful John and the guys at the Iron Supporting Food Banks, please, people. Just what's there. Listen, I don't do this shit, Rob. That's your job. I talk football. I talk football. You talk promotion. That's your skill. Come on.
I thought I'd involve you. All right. Okay.
Yeah.
Right, guys.
And then what happens? I go, oh, rabbit in headlights, and that's this game over, isn't it? It's not like you gave me the opportunity to know what was going on for. Yeah.
I like to surprise you from time to time.
I know, and I've told you not to put it there.
All right, okay. Guys, yeah, you got the Just Giving link there. I'll pop it in the live chat in a moment and just go on to the Just Giving link. If you can put a few coppers in the pot, you'd be doing a good job, because basically this is a charity that supports families in the Newham Borough area who, during this cost of living crisis, might well be struggling a little bit more than the likes of you, myself and Duke might be at the moment. So please, if you can, support this. It's a really worthwhile charity. I actually had the opportunity to see John yesterday just by the aquatic centre. Slung a couple of coppers in his bucket, and he thanked me very much for that. And it's a very worthwhile cause. Please support it. We'd encourage you to do that. Thank you for your support.
So much better than I did. So much better than I did.
Well, there you go. I'll just, before we get onto it, just go into the chat. Hello there, Words and Pictures. Hope you
WP?
are well. Words and Pictures was on the quiz that I was on. He jumped into the live chat, and he was giving me his full and wholesome support, and it was I couldn't have done it without him or her. Actually, I'm making an assumption here. I don't know whether Words and Pictures is a man or a woman.
Just assume gender, Robert.
I have, yes. So apologies if I've caused any offence. But yes, Words and Pictures was there and giving me their support. There you go.
Hey, well done.
Covered all
well
the bases.
Done.
Covered all the bases. Rebecca, hope you are well. Hammerhead. Oh, hello. Sexy Dookie and charismatic Gatesy. Can we swap that around? I'd actually prefer to be the sexy one and let him be the charismatic one.
We know what you prefer. Unfortunately, sir, it's just the way that the coins fell, and you were unfortunate on that one. You know what I mean? It's just you got the charisma, I got the hair.
Well, where did it go? Words and Pictures only off the pitch, sadly, because if I was a genius on the pitch, I wouldn't be probably doing this, would I? There you go. Walshy, hope you are well. Doing the washing up. You can't get a dishwasher, mate.
Oh, well, I really thought we were going to go somewhere dark with the next set of comments. I'm glad you changed your mind. I was getting in there ready to head you off at the pass, so to speak.
Yeah.
I had a dishwasher once.
Cheers, Epic.
I had to replace her.
Oh,
I don't care. It's called a joke, Robert. And you know what? You know what happens when you get offended? You know what happens when you get offended?
Fuck all.
Nothing. Exactly. You can be offended.
Yeah.
You can be offended, and that's fine.
I remember once upon a time, when we all used to take the piss out of each other and nobody took offence. There's always a line, don't get me wrong. There is always a line. But
where did the old adage go, Rob? Where did the old adage of sticks and stones? Where did that old adage go? Where did it go? Like
disappeared
anyway,
over the hill.
Let's not go down that rabbit hole. I can't lose enough chop. So let's leave that one alone, shall we?
Fair enough. Right, so we are here to discuss goings on at the London Stadium yesterday, our opening fixture in the Premier League season. We come across the defending Premier League champions. Now, for those of you that watched the Premier League preview that we did, you'll know that people might say I was being pessimistic. I'd like to say I was being realistic. And I did say that my heart said we could get something, but my head said something completely different. I predicted a 3-1 reverse. Now, although the scoreline wasn't correct, the margin of defeat was. Now, I was at the match. Duke, you was obviously watching it from the Lewisham Tavern. Now, I can only say from my point of view what I witnessed. And obviously, I'm there, and you know the view that I've got, Duke. So I've got a full panorama of everything that's going on in front of you. Whereas, you know, Milesy said it on multiple occasions when he's joined us on Forged and on other YouTube channels as well, besides that when you're at a game, it is different from when you're watching it on the TV. There might be certain things that you don't pick up on. Yesterday, in the first half, we started well. First, 3 minutes or so, thereabouts, we had an opportunity that Antonio put over the bar, ball swinged in from Pablo Fornals. Basically, from that point on, the second half, as far as I'm concerned, we did nothing, really. We did nothing. And I, personally, my problem was really with the front four. I saw the front four not putting enough pressure on the Manchester City players. Now, don't misunderstand me. I appreciate that the Manchester City players are of an excellent standard. Let's be completely honest. They're world-class players. No problem with that. My problem is that fundamentally, this is virtually the same batch of players that 2 months ago we played in the last home fixture of the previous season. And we got in and amongst them from minute 1 to minute 90. We went 2-0 up and we came away with a 2-2 draw. We gave them the fright of their lives. Yesterday, we didn't force Manchester City to get out of second gear. That's the thing that frustrates me.
Me?
Over to you.
Okay. And I listen. I've had time to reflect. I've listened to. I listened to a hell of a lot of videos this morning, Rob. I'm not going to lie to you. I went downstairs to start, obviously, cleaning in a pub at about 10 to 9. So I had a chance to chuck the earbud in and start listening to, West Ham TV, West Ham fan TV, and Gio and Gonzo. Gio's post match. I didn't get to see any of these yesterday. Obviously, I was working once the game had finished, and I have to say, my opinion of the situation hasn't changed. Hasn't changed too much in the grand scheme of things. No, it wasn't. It wasn't pretty to watch, and my statement still stands. This is and I made the statement off of the back of some absolute meltdown comments on social media.
Yep.
I mean, yes, I did include yours at one point in that to start with, but then I sat back and I listened a lot more to everyone else, and my opinion so much hasn't changed, but I'm understanding those of differing opinions. I get where you guys are coming from. I mean, listen, this is possibly the most expensive squad assembled in history. I know people are going to bang on about the Galacticos, and I've had that conversation with someone in my pub today. I made a comment and a comparison yesterday that our 5 new signings in Cornet, Areola, Aguerd, Scamacca, and Wally Flynn Downs. A bit like Ben Glenn Johnson. Wally Flynn Downs, as he will now be known going forward for the rest of the season. Those 5 are costing in around the region of 102 to 105 million pounds.
Yep.
There's a gentleman that wore the number 10 shirt yesterday for Manchester City, who costed around that on his own. So you're coming up against a side that is built by design to do very much what they did yesterday. and that is dominate possession. That is to have you chasing shadows, of where the ball was, or I think the only one that kind of preempted where the ball was going to go was our legendary Declan Rice, and even he was caught wanting a few times yesterday. I mean, don't get me wrong. Declan Rice was the only one for me that came out yesterday with any kind of in a West Ham shirt with any kind of credit in the bank, shall we say? But that being said, you know, they moved. Listen, they moved the ball very, very well. Gonzo alluded to it this morning on the Patreon for Hammer's chat about the fact that Lanzini had been put there and he was to stay on Rodri and not move. Yet Antonio was pretty much, some might say lazily, I'm going to slightly disagree, but he was running between, Diaz and Ake to try and put pressure on him. He's only one man. It makes me laugh when you send one man out for a corner, when they play a short corner in football, and you send one man out to try and mark the man that's the recipient of the ball. And then you've got no one out there going to block the corner taker. You send two out. If you're going to do that, you have to have two. It needs to be one-on-one, because guess what they're going to do? They're going to go pass, pass, pass. You add to that then that they've got Edison back there as well. You can have Bowen up on Cancelo. You can have Fornells up on Walker. But all the time you've got then Antonio chasing down three players in Ake, Diaz, and Edison. It's gonna get to a point where you're gonna draw someone else in, and the problem was the drawing of someone else in was Lanzini, which then opened up Rodri for a free pass. Rodri turned, he's already on the halfway line, and we're already going shit, right? Kevin De Bruyne killed us with two passes yesterday. Absolutely killed us with two passes yesterday, and for me, not only were they the two best passes in the entire bloody game, they were the only real two penetrative passes in the entire game. Areola, I've seen comments that if we don't make the goalkeeping substitution, we don't give away a penalty. I think that's absolute tosh. Does he have to come for it? Yes, in my opinion, I think he does. That's my opinion. But I'm going to give a shout out to, and he probably doesn't watch this. In fact, I guarantee he doesn't bloody watch it. But the boys from West Ham Fan TV were outside the ground last night and having a discussion. Now, I've met Scott from West Ham Fan TV. He came into my old pub a year or so ago, and we got talking, and he said he watches the show sometimes and stuff. That was quite nice. But I want to give a shout out to Ryan from West Ham Fan TV, because the man pretty much, he nailed it. He said exactly what I'd said a minute ago. This is a team built by design. They are built by design. They are set up in such a way that keep the ball. Couldn't get near him, Ben. Couldn't even get near him. What are you going to do? Give away a free kick, get a yellow card? Give away a free kick, get a red card? For me, that's no. It's City. At the end of the day, it's City. When these fixtures came out, every single one of us turned around and went, free hit, first game of the season. Right? I still stand by that to a degree. I did think we could do something, because we did something 2 months ago, as I said in the pre-match. But they played us off the park. What I will say is they look fitter and stronger in every department, Rob. In every department, they look fitter and stronger.
Does that not concern you?
I'll tell you why I think it is. They played 2 pre-season friendlies and then the Charity Shield. Right?
Hey, Dan.
So essentially, if you want, three 3 pre-season friendlies they played.
Yeah.
Do you know what they spent the rest of the time doing?
Probably on a sun lounger somewhere, I'm guessing.
Fitness training. They worked on their fitness in training. Pre-season camps and everything else was working on their tactics, and it was working on their fitness. Right? Everyone bangs on about going into a season, we need to get pre-season under our belt, we need to get these friendlies, and the City just proved to me that they don't, and they're only going to get better. They're only going to get better. Guardiola got it right, Rob. These players finished a season 8 weeks ago, 10 weeks ago, right? Some of them continued to play for another 2.5 weeks after that. Bowen, Suchek, Rice, Stu Fowl, the other guys. They then continued to play another 4 games once the season had finished. Came back to training relatively late in the grand scheme of things. I think only about 3 days before the pre-season friendlies commenced. Pep went, we ain't playing no friendlies. We're going to work on building our fitness levels. We're going to slowly introduce a higher tempo of training as the weeks go on. We'll go out, we'll do what we've got to do abroad. It doesn't matter. We'll go do that. I'm frustrated. I'm gutted that we lost. But it also shows me the class apart on a football club level, not necessarily on a playing structure level of the difference in the players. It shows me how far apart we are on a football club level. That the knowledge behind pre-season, the knowledge behind what to do with the players, the best kind of fitness coaches, sounds really stupid, the nutritionists and everything else of building that fitness back up without the need to play unnecessary games. You know what I mean? So, we are worlds apart, literally worlds apart from that City side. But that being said, the season starts next week. If we don't perform, and we perform like we did yesterday against Brighton, Villa, and Forest in our next, then you know what? The season shots are shit. Let's just give up and walk away. But I don't think we'll see that. I think we'll see something completely different next Sunday against Forest. The first game in the conference playoff thing. Then we got, I think it's Villa. Then we got Brighton, and I'm hoping in those 5 games you'll see something completely different than what we see yesterday.
Yeah, I mean, I'd be honest with you, mate. I'm looking at the stats here from the 2-2 draw and yesterday. And the stats for yesterday were better, believe it or not. Yet you was there at that City game. You saw that game unfold. That wasn't a team 2 months ago, basically the same 11, Duke, that took to that played in the 2-2 draw then, played in the game yesterday, but for one change, and that was Ben Johnson.
That's a huge change, though.
It is a big change, but it's one change. It is one change. The rest, the other 10 players were the same players that took to the pitch 2 months ago against the same team, and we got amongst them, Duke. You saw it, I saw it.
Yeah.
And I'm looking at the stats here from both the games side by side, and our stats yesterday were better in terms of our pass accuracy, in terms of our possession, all of that. Our stats are better. Yesterday we had one corner, but that's probably the only sort of negative comparison that I can make. The rest of it, we were better yesterday stats wise, but we looked a million miles apart from the team that I saw the other month when we got a 2-2 draw.
That's because we were.
Hang on. For me, I looked at it, and as I say, that front 4 in that first half were pitiful. There was no effort there at all. There was no energy, no desire, no fight, no hunger, no determination, none of that. I saw that in that game 2 months ago. Why I don't understand why there's the disparity in such a short space of time with basically the same batch of players. And I don't accept, oh, it was hot. Well, it was hot for both sets of players. We had 2 sets of drinks breaks. The second half, most of the pitch was bathed in shade. Now, I accept that it's Man City. I accept that they're going to keep the ball, but have a little bit of a go. If you look at the game, Fulham against Liverpool, if you look at the game, Brighton against Manchester United, Brighton, these were teams that really and truly had a go, and they got a reward. We didn't have a go yesterday. We didn't. We had about a 10-minute spell in the second half. We had about a 5-minute spell in the first half where we looked like we was doing something. Other than that, we didn't do anything. And for me, like I say, it's not about the result. It really isn't, because I can accept a defeat. And I predicted a defeat. I predicted a 3-1 reverse. I've got no problem with the defeat. My problem is more with the manner of that defeat. I didn't see, in my opinion, as someone that watched it from the stadium, from up on high, I didn't see enough players imposing themselves on the opposition and having a go and testing them, making them work. Just didn't happen.
No, and listen, I agree with you. I'm not going to say that you're wrong, because you're not. As you know, the guys in the chat are saying, you know what, it is what it is. I still stand with what I say there about the fact that their whole club setup, their whole thought process, philosophy behind behind their pre-season. You know, their whole philosophy behind that, and I'd really like to look into in depth, if anyone out there does or can or knows someone, really like to go into some depth about just what it was and how they went about it. Because I'll tell you what, City are rewriting the book on a football club setup. Yes, okay, they've got the money behind it to be able to build the greatest the greatest training setup, the greatest training ground. I mean, it blows everything else out of the water, Rob. You can't get near it. I think the only club in the world that might be able to get close to City and their training facilities will be New York Red Bulls. And that was, they basically bought in upstate New York. They basically bought a university campus and turned it into their training facility. They're probably the only one that get close to City and the way City have got a kind of setup for their training. It's outstanding. And I must admit, I did look into a lot of the Red Bull stuff when those rumours were obviously flying around about us and the Red Bull takeover. I mean, Trudge has just put a comment in. I'm gonna come back to Andy's in a minute. Trudge has just put a comment in there. I tell you what, that deal cannot go through quick enough, because I'm telling you now, I want him gone.
Yeah,
gone. Like, I'm not saying he basically completely scuppered us, but you know what? Having a natural centre back in there would have been better than having Glenn Ben, kind of shoehorned in. The fact that Moyes has come out and said, you know what? He's not put himself forward. Basically, what he's saying is, I asked him. He said no. That's how I read that. That's how that comes across to me. Yeah, I mean, listen, Andy, what you say there, boy, is spot on as well. Our signing's not being ready enough. We've got 21 days.
Yeah.
21 days left of a window. And we've had, I want to say 5 weeks, Rob.
Yeah, it's going to be about that, isn't it? I mean, what was it, July the 1st it opened?
So it's about 5 weeks. 5 or 6 weeks, right? I get Cornet not being registered, okay? For whatever reason, that took a little bit longer to get over the line. If we could have got that done by +12, he could have played. Quite simple. Would we have looked any better defensively down the left? Yeah, probably. Because that's the whole idea that boy's been brought in. Because he can work. He has a quite a defensive brain on him, a bit like Kostic as a left wing back. So by having him at left wing, not only has he got the pace to get back, he's also got a defensive mentality. I know what we're going to say about having to support Cresswell, but I could ask this question then. We put 4 nails in there to protect Cresswell and everyone cries for Ben Rama. Why not have someone like Ben Rama with a defensive mentality as well? Someone that's still willing to go forward and attack and beat players, pace and whatnot, but also has a defensive mentality that, will help Cresswell out. Shouldn't have to babysit. We have to babysit until we get a new left back. It really is quite straightforward. It really is. And that's not going to change until, we sign this Slasley or whatever his bloody name is, or, we go out and we get an out-and-out left back, whether we go now and I know there's talk of, before I came on, a £30 million double transfer, possibly, of Zaha and Diallo from PSG, because Diallo, not only is he just a centre, he plays a left back and a centre back. So as was said, I'd bring him in all the time that we're having issues at centre back. He can play centre back and keep Cressy out there, and then once we get a centre back fit and back in the team, he can move over to left back and Cressy can drop down. Then we ain't got to babysit Cressy, and I don't mean that in a horrible way. But then we have a striker. We have room for a Ben Rama type character, because if you take a look at Bowen doesn't have to track back and support Soufal at right back. On that note, with Soufal, I think he was more too interested in trying to start a row with Jack Grealish than he was worrying about what was going on in the game yesterday. I think he was too busy trying to kick him than he was trying to be a defender or be an outlet for us. I saw comments on this. He can't jump. He can't jump. He can't jump. He can't sprint. There's no sprint. The knee's fucked, and that's a concern. But I think we're being forced into using him right now. Otherwise, what else do you do? I think the Diallo Zaha deal wouldn't be such a bad idea. They're both centre backs. They both can play centre back. So then let's bring both of those in. I know we've signed Aguerd, but you know what? It's only a matter of time, because Bonner's not going to be around forever. He's still got a long way before he comes back. Aguerd isn't fully fit yet. Dawson, as we know, wants to go back up north. Whatever the case may be on that. I know people said he had an injury yesterday, but I'm still in the mindset that he might not. There might be something else, going on back behind the scenes. So we're at a point where, yes, okay, so we're gonna let Diop go. So now we're back down to Okbono, Zuma, Aguerd, Dawson. So we're back to 4 because Alesse's gone. So then we've only got Zuma, who's probably 60% fit. Okbono's probably nowhere near match ready. Zuma and Aguerd are both injured. So all of a sudden, we need 2 centre-backs. We need to go back to 6 for this reason. We're going to need these because we're playing 16 Premier League games before the World Cup kicks in. Throw into that Europa Conference and League Cup. We could be playing 25. Well, you've got 2 more. You could be playing 28 games before the season takes a break. Tell you now, we're going to need at least another 5 at this point. at this point 5 or 6, and 2 of them both need to be centre backs, because what I saw yesterday with the injuries that we picked up, we're going to be fighting a losing battle going forward, and it scares me.
It does concern me as well. It has to be said, but yeah, I mean, like I say, I tell you what I'm going to do, because for those that haven't read it, I posted in the immediate aftermath of the game, and this was timed at 6:34 p.m. yesterday, and I'm going to quote directly, and I stand by every word that I've wrote here. Don't know about happy with the second half, an improvement on the first. Not that is difficult. We have, in my opinion, played without the necessary determination, drive, fire, courage, intensity, desire, fight, passion. I'm not concerned whether we play a multi-billion pound team or a Conference South one. Those qualities being obviously on display is, for me, absolutely non-negotiable. And I have not seen it for anywhere near enough of the game. Now, that's not negativity. That's my view from my seat in the stadium. Now, I'm not for 1 minute suggesting Moyes out or whatever, but we absolutely need to find another gear at Forest, because that would be something I'd find quite concerning. Now, I don't believe that's being overly critical. I think I'm just saying it as it is. I'm just saying it as I see it. I can accept that, City are on a different level to us. They can go out and they could have had Jack Grealish on the bench yesterday. They could have had £100 million substitute, and that would have, let's be honest, that would have probably been more than what we paid for the 11 that we started with yesterday.
Yeah.
Let's be honest.
Yeah, without that.
It's levels, but as I say, for me, I repeat, it's just, I look at that team and go, you played this lot. 6 of the 11 that played for City yesterday played in that game 2 months ago. 10 of our 11 did as well. So I look at it and go, how can it be that 2 months ago you had a go? And as I say, our possession stats yesterday, our ball retention and all the rest of it was better yesterday than it was 2 months ago. Yet, to me, those two performances are night and day. They really are. And like I say, I accept that they're better than us in terms of their personnel, in terms of the money they've got. It's all that, but just have a go. Go out there, have a go. And you know what? If we got beat, and I looked at that 11 and went, I can see they've had a go. They come off with sweat on their brow. They've had a good go, and we were second best on the day. Not a problem. Shake your hand, move on. I didn't see that yesterday, dude. I didn't. I'm sorry, but I didn't.
No, there's a bit of lack of it.
But as I say, that's gone now. I'm not advocating, and I've got to be honest. I know you've alluded to there were certain people going a little bit crazy on social media. I've not seen any of it because I've not wanted to. I've not wanted to dip my toe in that particular pool. I've put what I've put out there, and that's pretty much the end of it. But as I say, I maintain, if we go to Forest next week and we play with that lack of intensity, we're gonna get our trousers pulled down at the City ground, and that for me,
Lingardinho playing this week. Lingardinho will show up, and for everyone that laughed at his lack of production on Saturday against Newcastle, take a look at Lanzini's stats yesterday from 57 minutes.
Well, we're gonna do the player ratings in a minute, Duke. So, and I've got a bit to say about Manuel Lanzini.
You'll be upset.
I don't care. I'm sorry. I'm not doing it to be confrontational or anything like that. But I've got certain views about the performance that I saw from the man in the number 10 shirt. It's not going to make for pleasant reading or pleasant listening for people that are fans of Manuel Lanzini. But again, I call it as I see it, and if that upsets people, then so be it.
Could I just make one comment?
Yep.
I noticed that there was a West Ham fan with Trump MAGA on the back of his West Ham shirt yesterday, which coincided with the building of a wall apparently at the stadium. Rob, did you see the new wall that had been put up?
Yeah, this is between home and away fans, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, just
What?
you threw me there. Trump, MAGA, what you want? And they're like,
Oh,
oh
no, there
yeah,
was a
make
West Ham
America great
shirt.
again.
If you have a look, on social media, there was actually a West Ham United fan, and on the back of his shirt was Trump MAGA as the name, and then obviously we have a lovely wall that's been built. So apparently the home and away fans can't see each other anymore. Is this
Yeah,
embarrassing?
Hey ho, right, ready for player ratings, old chap?
Let's try to be polite. I'm not going to, but let's try.
Let's go for it. Okay, right. So that's our starting 11, Mr. Duke. You know the format of this. So we'll start between the sticks. He didn't last very long, but I'd like you to give a rating for him, Lucas Fabianski.
I thought it was world class, Rob, in the 15 minutes, 20 minutes he was on. Absolutely world class. How can you can't rate him, Rob? Behave yourselves.
You can. He was on for what, 28
29 minutes, I think it was.
You can rate him.
He didn't really have a lot to do, did he? I mean, it was. I'll be honest. It was nice to see that City waited until the 34th minute, 36th minute before they did anything and gave us a chance to get our 33rd minute of applause. in for Peach, I have to say. To be honest with you, I'm probably going to go a 5, a 6. I'm going to be 6. I'll 6 it. Yeah, I'll go 6. The time he was on, I have to say, I think part of the reason he got injured was the way he came out, and he was dominant in his box. He came out, he claimed. I think he got injured because he came out and he made a punch or he caught the ball, and he took a bit of a whack on the knee from Lurch. And I think that put pay to it. But he looked good, Rob. He looked like he was. The one thing that I had criticism from last season over him was the fact that he didn't command his box. He didn't want to come and claim stuff. He did that yesterday. So I'm going to go 6.
Okay, I rated him a 4, and it was simply because I don't think he was on the pitch long enough for me to give him too much more. I still think that his distribution is slow, ponderous, and very often goes to opposition players. But he wasn't the only one that did that yesterday, in fairness. I gave him a 4. That might appear a harsh mark, but he could have. I'd say he was done by the I believe it was a dead leg that he's got. Is that what's been reported? Basically, he's sort of like
I've not seen, but Enough did take a bit of a clatter as he came out to make a claim, and it was Lurch that caught him. I have to say, but I was impressed with what I saw from him.
Talk to me about Aaron Cresswell.
He was the weak link. Well, I say he was the weak link. Defensively, he was the weak link. They kind of targeted him when they were going down the wings. You know, they kind of knew that Grealish and Sufal were going to be kicking lumps. But over that side, wouldn't say he was awful. Wouldn't say he did anything that kind of made me go, Jesus Christ, son, what you're playing at. But I'm going to give him a. I'm going to give him a. I'm going to give him a 5.
Okay, I'm going to get my ratings. I'll save a bit of time because my ratings for each of the members of the back four is exactly the same, and for different reasons, I've given each of them a 5. That might be a little bit unfair on Ben Johnson because Ben Johnson was playing in a role that was unfamiliar to him. But fundamentally, if you look at the 2 goals we conceded, I think there's a case to say that he could have done a bit better, even despite the fact that he was playing out of position. He's a defender fundamentally. So Yeah, each of them, like I say, for various reasons, I could sit here and say I gave him this mark for this reason, that reason, whatever. For reasons I won't sort of bore everyone with, I gave each of them a 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, done.
Fair enough.
So, talk to me about Kurt Zuma.
I'm going to give him a 5. I would have liked to have seen him act a bit more of the senior of the partnership, grabbing hold of, Glenn Ben by the scruff of the neck and going, "Come on, boy, we got this. Let's stick." I'm really trying to be a leader of that back four. I just didn't see it, which upset me, which disappointed me. You know, his failure in that to his failure in that was a big thing for me. He's got a young lad there that this is a big test for him. He's been moved from his more natural position of right or left back to play in a centre back in a Premier League game with probably one of the two most feared strikers in European football right now. And I just didn't see enough from Zuma that made me think that, he was not necessarily a leader, Rob, but someone that he's going to grab it by the scruff of it and take charge of a back four that wasn't, was up against one of the best in the world at the minute.
How much of that do you think, though, and I don't disagree with what you're articulating, but how much of it do you reckon is because, I think it's fairly plain for all to see, he is carrying an injury?
Then he turns around and says, "I cannot play." Sorry, if you are, I'm not being funny, Rob. If you,
Simon,
for instance, if you go into work less than
we have.
100, no, we have, but our quality of work has been shoddy. I've done it to a point I don't really want to be back in there doing it. But for a player to go into a big game,
Yep,
probably less than 70% fit, looking at him, probably even 60. I'm at a point where the finger could be pointed at him then for that, because he needs to do better. He needs to do better as a player and stand up for himself. I'm not being funny. If you've got Issa Diop going, "No, I ain't playing because I think you're," then he's got to say, "No, I ain't playing because I really am not fit." But if he can't put in 100%, then there's no point in him being out there. He could have buggered our chances even more by injuring himself and not being there for next week. And if we don't bring in players between now and then, we would be up shit stream without a paddle, mate. Without him.
Fair enough. Okay. How about Ben Johnson? Again, I don't want to be overcritical of the kid, but played out of position. He did the best he could. Was the best he could good enough in your eyes?
I personally think he did okay, to be honest with you. For a guy being played out of position, I'm actually going to give him a 6. And that's really because I just think he tried, Rob. He tried. He switched, for me, I think I counted twice that he switched off. One was the through ball, which Areola comes out and tries to get to the ball before him, gives away a penalty. And then him and Zuma really did switch off. Don't get me wrong, they were exceptional balls, and you will probably only see balls like that again from Kevin De Bruyne this season. There are very few players in this Premier League that are going to be able to find passes like that this season. They were phenomenal passes. As Scott says there, he was ball watching for the first goal, which obviously was the penalty, and he didn't check his shoulder. Neither centre back did for the second goal. But that being said, once that bloke hits the afterburners, Jesus Christ, there is going to be very, very few defenders that are going to catch him. I still stand by my comment that he's going to struggle with the fact that teams won't defend as high and he's not going to have as much room to run into. But when you've got maybe players like Kevin De Bruyne who can play the perfectly weighted pass into a space, probably less room than Gemma Collins in a single bed, then you're going to be fine. He may well get the chances he needs this season.
Okay, Vladimir Kufal at right back.
4, he was too interested in trying to kick Jack Grealish than he was trying to. I think defensively he performed admirably, but he offered nothing going forward because he was far too focused on worrying about where Jack Grealish was. So the next time Grealish got the ball, he could kick it. That's it. That's all I got.
Fair enough.
Is the missus making dinner, Rob?
Yeah. Talk to me about Declan Rice, the captain. Now the club captain, of course.
Declan Rice would not have looked out of place in that City team yesterday.
Agreed.
In my opinion, put the S on him. I just think he looked.
Oh, hang on.
It looked right, Rob. He looked the one yesterday that he broke up play when he could. He was there or thereabouts when needed. He wouldn't have looked out of place for them. I can see him being there next season. I really can see him being there next season. Yeah, I can. I really can see him being part of that side next season. I think they're the only team that are going to be able to throw up the money that we want for him, personally. And if we decide we're going to stick to our guns, I know Kent's in the chat. I think he advocated the other day. Can't remember where I saw it, but I think he advocated the other day to just keep him until the end of the contract and get the money that we would get from positional finishes, cup games, cup victories, whatever, European football, as being what we could, because Declan Rice over the next 2 or 3 years is going to be worth probably 50 million a season to us. And if no one's willing to fork out 100 million next season, then wait. And if no one's willing to fork out 50 million the season after, then wait, because that's what he's going to be worth to us going forward. But no, he was the best player for us on the pitch yesterday, and by a country mile. And that was one of his worst games.
I have a sneaking suspicion that the ratings from this point on are probably going to plummet. Talk to me about his midfield partner, Mr. Souček.
I didn't think he had one.
Oh, I didn't. Sorry, just to backtrack real quick. My rating for Rice was a 6. Not because of. I just thought that the midfield were getting overrun. He had too much to do, but I gave him a 6. But he was my man of the match.
Souček's going to be a 3, Rob. He was practically non-existent in the game for me. He plodded around. He kind of filled a space. Is that the best way to describe it? It didn't do bugger all else. It kind of filled a space in a team. He had a West Ham shirt on. Other than that, there was not else, mate.
Did you hear that it was 12 minutes gone in the match before he had his first touch?
Yeah, I heard that. Again, you take a look at that one way or the other. That they kept the ball really well, and
that's awful.
It is, but again, you could say that they bypassed him and that they played around him and he just couldn't get close to it. Or you could say that he was lazy and just didn't give a shit. Take your pick, but it's a 3 for me.
Yeah, same as me, mate. I've given him a 3. I just thought he was a bystander. Simple as that. Nothing more I can say. His passing was its usual sort of self in terms of quality, i.e. none. Sorry, Thomas, but passing is not your forte, my son.
It's not.
Scott's even more scathing than me. I thought I was being harsh, but Scott's gone too, and he's saying it's time for him to go. Which, there's only something. I know that the season before last, he got 10 goals from midfield. He was nowhere near that last season, and I do wonder. you know, is it time? Is it time?
I just think we need to go back to how we did it before. Him being the box to box and Declan Rice being the holding. That's
Problem with
where
that
I'm.
though is you've then got to have Declan on board with that, and I'm not entirely convinced that he wants to go down that route of being a pure holding midfielder.
What's best for the team, Rob? Fuck your ego.
Don't
Check
disagree
your
with
ego
that.
at the fucking door, and I tell you what, if he doesn't want to get on board with what's best for the team, then I'm afraid, then sell him. If he doesn't want to get, and this is Declan Rice I'm talking about here. This isn't about Sue. If Declan Rice doesn't want to get on board with what is best for the club, you know, doesn't want to check his ego at the fucking door because, you know what, I don't want to do that. I don't want to be that person. I don't. Sorry, young man. There is no I in team. I want you to do what's best for the football club. But what's best for the football club, young man, is for you to sit and hold while Thomas Souček is the one to make those late breaks. It's not about you, Dec. It's about what's best for the team. And if you can't get behind that, then you're not in it for the team. See you later on. Take care. We'll show you the door. And for me, if that's how this works, okay, with Declan Rice being this having the ego that he does because he wants to be that marauding midfielder, if you will, then he ain't in it for the club, he's in it for himself.
Okay. Yeah, no, I gave Thomas Souček a 3. So should we do Lanzini next?
I'm going to give him a 1.
Wow. And again, I thought I was being harsh. I've given him a 2.
He was on the verge of a 0, Rob. The only reason he gets he gets a 1 is because he actually fouled someone. Other than that, listen. That's the only blemish to his
Elliot.
0 score. That's the only blemish to his perfect 0 score of anything done in the game. So I'm going to give him a 1 for the 1 foul that he made. He was non-existent for 57 minutes. Don't get me wrong, he wasn't the only one that was fucking poor by their own standards, but he literally, by the 1 foul, was non-existent.
Yeah, fair enough. And like I say, I've given him a 2, and I put on the group chat, and I'm sure you've seen it, but in his 57 minutes played, just for a little bit of context, ladies and gentlemen, for anyone that thinks that we're being overly harsh and critical on Manuel Lanzini, in the 57 minutes he played, 0 goals, 0 assists, 0 shots on target, 0 take-ons attempted, 0 dribbles completed, 0 key passes, 0 ground duels won, 0 aerial duels won, 0 fouls won, 0 interceptions, 0 tackles, 0 long balls completed, 1 foul committed, and 1 time he was offside.
Oh, okay. No, I'm not changing it because he got an offside as well. I'm leaving it at 1.
No, but I mean, you know, let's be honest about it. We was all having a good old chuckle at Jesse Lingard's stats.
That's what I was saying, wasn't it? Yeah.
Fucking hell, that makes Jesse Lingard look like a world beater. So yeah, no, I gave him a 2. I've given him a 2. And as I say, if that makes me unpopular with fans of Manuel Lanzini, then it is what it is. So, but again, I see it. Yeah. Talk to me about the guy on the left, Mr. Fornals.
3.
Same as me.
3. I can't. It's not that I can't figure out what he did or didn't do, but I can't figure out what he did or didn't do, Rob.
He ran around.
Yeah.
Which was more than some did, in fairness.
Yeah, it was difficult. It was difficult to take from what you consider to be our front four.
Front four was pretty poor, but yeah, I gave Fornals a 3. So
but he's not getting my Z. He's not getting my Z, Lanzini.
No. Okay.
No, that's coming next.
Interesting. Okay. What? Jared Bowen?
Yep.
Wow. Okay. Okay. Tell me, why is he the recipient of your Zero award?
Didn't even know he was playing, Rob.
Okay.
Didn't even realise he was on the pitch for a significant amount of time. Now, what he did was probably still more than Lanzini, to be fair. But what you've come to expect from Jared Bowen is the reason he ends up my 0 and he ends up on a 1 is because that was I get that he was doubled up and stuff like that, but then take yourself to the other side of the pitch and tell Fornals to piss off, or move up front and tell Antonio to go out right or left or whatever. Mix it up, change things. Oh, shut up, Cyber, you big girl. I was in no way, shape or form angry. I had to tell you to shut up twice. From what we've come to know of Jared Bowen, yesterday's game was just so poor. So that's why he gets the 1.
Okay. Okay. How about Michael Antonio? What was your thoughts on his performance?
He did a lot of making an impression that he was pressing. But there was no real pace to his press. I love his style, you know I do. There was no real pace to his press, Rob. So he kind of just spent a lot of time jogging towards the players, to give the impression that he was putting them under a bit of press. He goes down with the knee injury, which I actually shouted at him for being a fucking wuss and to get up because I didn't see. It's only in the replay that you see he jars his knee as he puts his foot down.
Yeah.
Should have gone off at that point, in my opinion. That's where he should have. That's where he should have been taken off. And I'll come to that once I do the subs and Moisey in a minute. But yeah, no, it's a 2 for me for Macau.
Yeah, I've given him a 2 as well. So with my scoring, it's between him and Lanzini for the recipient of the 0 award from my point of view. And I would plump for Lanzini. I mean, those stats that I read out earlier has probably been what swung it in his favour. So, as I say, the recipient of my hero award was Rice, same as you, but I've gone with Lanzini. I thought he was absolutely pitiful.
Can I just agree with WMP?
You can agree.
That's banging. I do think, though, at the end of the season, conceding 1 goal from open play and losing 2-0 to City will be one of the better results that teams have against them. I'm inclined to agree, but it's not the result that's a bone of contention. It's the way that we set ourselves about it.
100%. Yeah. Yeah, that's exactly. Like I say, the defeat in and of itself, am I surprised? Am I disgusted by the defeat? Losing 2-0 at home on the opening day to the Premier League champions? No. Let's be honest. If we played them 10 times, they probably beat us 8. Let's be completely honest about it.
Yeah.
With 1 win in our favour and 1 draw on, if you average it out over 10 matches, that's probably how it works. But I would at least expect to have players looking like they're having a good bloody go and getting involved, and I didn't see that yesterday. Anyway, shall we mark the substitutes, old chap?
Yeah.
Okay, so let me just scroll down here. Now, I have included in the graphic Downs and Coventry, but you're not going to mark them because I don't think that's fair. They came on in the 92nd minute and the whistle blew 2 minutes later, so they're not going to get marked. Talk to me about Alphonse Areola.
He had.
You're right, Scott. We didn't.
He had 1 rush of kind of like a bit of blood rush to the head, which was obviously the penalty. Could I see myself as a goalkeeper doing it any differently? Spoke to my friend Neil, the goalkeeping coach. He asked the question: did he really need to come for it? He's where he is on the pitch. It's going to take a bloody good shot to score from where he gets taken down, and it's also going to take a lot for him to stop the ball going out of play, or at least stop himself from going out of play, and then Areola coming and just picking the ball up because he's run the 28,000 feet between the byline and the stands before he can get back to getting the ball. So listen, there's arguments for, again, banging Mrs. Gates, banging. It was a burp, I'm guessing. Really impressed. Really, really impressed. So ladylike. I think it's amazing. But again, I agree with Scott. His distribution was on point, Areola, which is why I want to see him now. I know, I think he's in fucking contention. He should be our starter. He should be our number one from next week. I'll give him a 6.
Even if Fabianski's recovered fully?
Couldn't give a monkeys.
Yet you earlier said that you thought Fab was world class in.
Fab's coming out and claiming it's like he's watched our channel and he's had a little bit of a listen. But as you said, he slows our. Listen, we're designed for counter-attack football, and we certainly will be with Cornet coming in hopefully to the side next week with his pace on that left wing. Bowen isn't blessed with explosive acceleration, but he's got pace. So you're going to want someone that's going to aid that and get the ball to those guys as quickly as possible. And I think, Rog, you're talking rubbish, but that's all about opinion, and I like it. I think Areola's the better keeper, and I think we need him to start next week.
Okay. I gave Areola a 4. I couldn't really say that he did anything significantly to justify getting anything more than that. He concedes a penalty, and did he make another save? I'm not blaming him for the second goal at all, but I am blaming him for the first. He conceded that. I don't think he came flying out like a lunatic. It was a penalty all day long. As soon as it is.
8 out of 10 goalkeepers will, though. 8 out of 10 goalkeepers will make that decision early and come.
Well, give me the other 2 goalkeepers then.
Well, I don't think we can afford them because one plays for the team we played yesterday and one plays for the team that finished second last season.
No, fair enough. So we made the substitution on 57 minutes, a double sub of Scamacca and Benrahma. Talk to me about Benrahma first off.
Tell you what, right, Benny when he come on, I wondered how he was going to fare, because obviously we weren't seeing a lot of the ball, Rob. We really wasn't seeing a lot of the ball.
Yep.
But he did well when he came on. I'm going to give him a 6. Okay, I actually think he did well when he came on. He actually looked like he wanted the ball. He was actively looking for that pass. He was trying to find himself in that space. Problem was, once he got the ball, he didn't really have many other options. They dropped in really quickly. City, they ended up with the 5 around that back area. As Neil says, he looked really busy. He had one shot, which obviously Edison got down to save. I have to say it was a very tame shot, but it was still a shot, and it was more than most others had mustered in the previous hour before that. So I actually thought he came on. He looked lively. I'm actually kind of hoping that he takes the 10 role next week with Cornet going out on the left. He takes the 10 role next week. Scamacca in front of him. Because I tell you what, I can see him benefiting from the hold-up play and the knockbacks from someone like Skamaka, edge of the box, 20 yards out. Let me have a ping, boy. You know, do you remember Kevin Nolan and Andy Carroll with the knockdowns
Yeah.
and the way that Carroll knocked him down and Nolan benefited hugely from that? I am not saying that Skamaka is going to be a lump for the air like Andy Carroll, but I can see him helping Benny. If Benny plays in a 10, I can see him helping Benny. Possibly this season, fulfilling what he hasn't done for the last two.
Fair enough.
Scott, if you can record that, take a screen grab of that little bit that I just said there, and can you pass it on to our mutual friend just so he knows that I said it for me? Cheers, mate.
God's sake. I've given him a 4. I think that like the guys have alluded to and you've said, he worked hard. Bit like he had the touch of the Pablo Fornals about him. He worked hard, but very little in terms of end product. He had one shot that, let's be completely honest about it, was fairly tame. The goalkeeper could have probably thrown his cap onto it and he'd have made the save. So I've given him a 4. Which is exactly the same, Scott, as you've given him. So, yeah. So, talk to me about that big Italian lump that you was just referring to, Mr. Scamacca.
Mate, I tell you what, yeah, I was. I'll tell you what, a lot of people probably are going to question what I was watching. I actually went on and I watched someone had put some bits together on Twitter. It came up on Twitter. Give me a second. Take a number. I'll call them tomorrow. Sorry, something to do with the pub. I watched a few snippets on Twitter today, a couple of videos doing the rounds of all of his touches throughout the time that he was on the pitch, and I'm really impressed, Rob. Really impressed. He held off the defenders. I think it was Ake at one point. He kept him at bay. He had the arm up. He was holding him off. He was using his strength. He was backing in. He was out at one point on the left, and I think he had 2 or 3 around him, and he lofted the ball back to the halfway line to keep possession. I just think he looked really good when he came on. I'm not quite going there. I'm going to give him a 7, same as Deck. But I just think it was a small snippet into what we saw. I mean, listen, Antonio came out in the second half, which I don't think he should have done. I think that man may well have got a goal if he'd come on at half time, Rob. I think he gave us a little bit more impetus going forward after he came on.
Yeah, and I've given him the same mark that I gave Deck, which was a 6. I thought he looked lively. I thought to be honest with you, I thought he kind of gave a little bit of a glimpse of the physical presence that possibly Antonio should have given in the first half, his hold-up play, whatever. And I'm looking and I'm thinking I think he's got to start next week. That's just my opinion.
Well, he has to. Oh, my good God.
What's up, mate?
11 and a half minutes into the Watford game, and Ismail Sarr has scored from 2 yards inside his own half to put them 1-0 up against West Brom. That, boys and girls, my brother's just sent me the tweet from Sky Sports Football. Abba Butchers, if you haven't seen that, just jump, not now, wait till we finish, wait till we're off, but just have a look for that from Sarr. There's a massive old knocking around, ball drops to him, he literally is 2 yards and he's just pinged the goalkeeper's on the edge of his box. Wouldn't expect to be beaten from there or even the ball coming from where it did. That is sublime. Sign him up. Sorry, Rob. Sorry.
All right, mate. Are any of the 3 substitutes that we're marking going to get either your hero or zero award?
You can give Scalamander. I'll piss off you. I got that. You take care of that. Old Scaramanda can piss off, you wank
Oh,
bag.
Jesus. Just seen it. Yeah.
I've blocked him, it's alright. You know, he just looked good, Rob. I mean, as Neil says there, the header was superb. Neil, was it not Neil? Fresh aesthetic.
Sean,
The
yeah.
header was fantastic. Like, it was a really good header. Fantastic save. It was a worldly save, as Fresh says. It really was. I'm looking forward. He's got to start next week. I'm so looking forward to this fella. I actually think he could be. I do think he could be our first 20 goal a season striker since Sheringham in the Championship.
Or our first 20 goal a season striker in the top flight since Tony Cottee in
Tony
'87.
Cott,
Yeah.
who has just signed an exclusive West Ham Way deal, isn't he? He's now going to work with the boys over at West Ham Way to do exclusive writing for their podcast.
Oh. Mr. Moyes, I've got to ask you to mark him.
I'm going to give him a 0, Rob.
Wow.
And he gets my 0. He gets my 0, and he gets my 0. Yeah.
Okay.
I personally think he set us up wrong. I think the blame has to lay at his feet. No, in the league, Trudge. I think he could hit 20 goals in the Premier League this season alone. It was all wrong yesterday from Moyes. And I'm going just on the game. I could probably give him a -200 based on the fucking around with the signings so far this season. But he set us up wrong. The fact that he sent Antonio out in the second half, strapped and bandaged and all the rest of it, really pissed me off even more. To be perfectly honest with you, it stunk of lack of man management, Rob.
Yeah, I got to be honest with you. I didn't see the point in 92nd minute of bringing on the two young lads.
No,
Don't
I
get me
didn't.
wrong.
Who are you wasting time for?
Yeah,
You're wasting time for them.
Yeah, I didn't understand the logic behind this. Don't get me wrong. If you want to give them minutes, that's fine. Don't bring them on in the 92nd minute, for Christ's sakes. What's the point? You're not sort of going to get that much experience under their belt for 2 minutes, and you're not going to fundamentally save the legs of the two players that have been withdrawn. It's not, it was a completely pointless substitution, but it is the one thing that frustrates me with Moyes is the substitutions. The substitutions, yes, he was, yeah. The substitutions with Moyes just do my head in. They always have. It's like,
listen, one was forced. One was false. Yeah. Obviously, the Areola substitution. So one was false. Two were thought out. Before the hour mark.
Well, you was in the group chat. I actually said I would take off Lanzini and Antonio.
Yeah.
For Benrahma and Scamacca, and that was exactly what happened in the 57th minute.
But they were thought out. The other two were just. What's the point?
Yeah, the 92nd minute made no sense.
But again, look at the benches, mate, and. Yeah, I was going to say, I did shout it out in the pub actually, and Cyber can back me up because he was there deep throating a J2O bottle at this point.
Nice.
Yeah, he was enjoying the drink. But I turned around and said, "What's Moyes doing for the two boys that he took off? Is he saving them for an extra 90 seconds to have an extra 90 seconds rest before next week's game?" It made no sense to me that, yes, you can tell it. It made no sense that he brought those two boys on. It was a very pointless substitution.
I think it was a token gesture to me. I think it was like he was saying, it was almost like...
Is he trying to cut back on... Is he trying to cut back on the other... Who came off for these two boys, by the way? I don't recall.
I think, was it Bowen and... Was it Bowen and Fornells? Let me just double check.
Listen, it doesn't matter who it was. If those two players have got, minutes played in their contract and they get a bonus at the end of the season, then that's...
Yeah, Bowen and Fornells.
So he's taken Bowen and Fornells off to stop them getting their minutes played bonus at the end of the season. he's going to shave it down by 90 seconds every fucking week to make sure they don't get their appearance bonus at the end of the season. It was just it was pointless. It was absolutely pointless.
Do you know what I think it was? I think it was because obviously I'm sure he's fully aware that he does get the criticism that he doesn't utilise all his substitutions. Last season, I remember there were games when we made one substitute, and I got a funny feeling that it wouldn't shock me if this was David Moyes just basically turning around to us and saying, "There you go, I can use all 5 subs." It's like, what was the fucking point of those two? No disrespect to Flynn Downs, no disrespect to Connor Coventry, but what was the point for either those 2 players or the players that were withdrawn? It made no influence on the game. In the 92nd minute, the game was gone. Ridiculous.
Yeah, pointless.
Make it in the 80th minute. Give them at least 10 minutes.
Excuse me, Chris. I'm no one's sidekick. Hold your horses right there, sir.
Thank you, Scott. I do make them occasionally, but okay. Right. Okay. Well, that's the player ratings all done, old son. Right. I am just real quick. I am going to put it in the chat. I meant to do it earlier. I didn't. So, guys, in the live chat is the link for the Just Giving page of Iron Supporting Food Bank. If any of you guys could see your way clear to putting a few quid in this particular pot, this is a charity, if you don't know what it's all about, who operate around families that are in the Newham, London borough, which is where West Ham play. And obviously, in this cost of living crisis, there are a lot of families that are struggling to put food on the table. Listen, this is affecting all of us, but some of us can withstand it better than others. This is a charity that helps those families that are maybe not doing quite so well as you or I. So, guys, please give it your support if you can. Got the Just Giving link in the chat. Go on it, give it a go. And to mark your card, if you're going to London Stadium at the next home game, John is normally, if you come out of Westfield and you're heading towards the stadium, you're heading over the bridge where you've got the aquatic centre on your left. He normally parks himself. There's a bench there that he'll usually set himself up, and he's got a flag out, and he's fairly prominent. So if you pop along there with a few bob and any perishable food items, beans, whatever, crack on. What's that, mate?
No. What Ken's just put in.
Oh, wow.
Oh, yeah, she's passed away.
Was it breast cancer by any chance?
'Cause
I know she had breast cancer some years back. I remember that.
Specific cause has not been given, although a source close to her said after a 30-year cancer journey, she lost her battle to metastatic breast cancer.
Jeez.
I won't lie, I'm not a huge fan of that. 73.
Okay.
Don't get me wrong, I'm not a huge fan of the film that made her the household name. It's not my cup of tea. But she was as fit as a butcher's dog when that film was recorded. Let's not lie, she was just stunner. It's quite sad, and it's another one I grew up listening to as such,
Yeah, absolutely. Right, guys, as it says on the banner, please don't forget to like, comment on and share the stream, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and hit the bell icon for alerts on new content. As always, we thank you very much indeed for your support. Anything you want to say before we knock it on the head, old chum?
No, sir. I am happy with what we've done. I'm looking forward to what comes next.
Duke, what are we, my friend?
Fucking massive, my man. Absolute. But yeah, no, we're still massive.
See you next time, guys. Come on, you irons.